Landman. Season 2 was a mixed bag. Many of you loved it, while just as many found it frustrating. But here's the good news. We're already gearing up for Season 3, giving us another chance to fully process our feelings about the show. Season 2 finally put Tommy at the helm of M-Tex. Personally, I thought this would bring a different vibe, maybe even a peaceful season. Oh, how wrong I was. Galino returned, making it clear that favors always come with a price. This time, the stakes were deeply personal. Tommy's young son, Cooper, became the target, complicating an already tangled web of relationships. Cooper's instinct for oil, once seen as a gift that could secure their future, turned into a liability. At home, Tommy struggled to embrace fatherhood. At work, leadership challenges, and his strained relationship with Cammy pushed him to the edge. Eventually, Cammy fired him and took control of M-Tex herself, an outcome that felt almost inevitable. Even the finale defied expectations. Early on, we see Tommy on the porch with TL, mentioning a scheduled meeting with Chevron. On paper, it seemed like a clean escape. But Tommy knew better. He said, "Finding another ship to jump on ain't the problem. I'm not sure I want to jump on somebody else's ship." This, I think, was the first time he fully admitted the truth. It's not about opportunity, it's about ownership. Tommy didn't want to spend his life building someone else's empire. Nate suggested talking to Cammy to reinstate Tommy at M-Tex, but Tommy shut it down immediately. His mind had already moved on. Instead, he asked Nate to find a way to void the contract tied to Cooper's oil rigs. But before they could act, Cammy called Nate to Fort Worth. Tommy assumed it was about his old job, but even as Nate boarded the plane, Tommy made it clear. There was no coming back to M-Tex. Meanwhile, Galino and Bella watched from afar, discussing the implications of Tommy losing his position. Bella met with Angela for lunch, revealing just enough to cause panic. Tommy had lost his job. Angela called Tommy immediately, and he tried to reassure her that this wasn't 2008, that he had a plan, and she needed to trust him. If anything, the finale reminded us that at his core, Tommy is a lonely man. Elsewhere, Cooper and Ariana were grappling with the aftermath of Ariana's assault. Cooper nearly killed her attacker in an attempt to protect her. Ariana didn't want to involve the police, but Cooper insisted. At the station, Ariana was treated with care, while Cooper faced scrutiny for his 17 punches, an act of self-defense teetering into something more. The situation escalated when Barney revealed the attacker had died en route to the hospital, putting Cooper at risk of a murder charge. Rebecca immediately intervened, alerting Tommy and shutting down the interrogation. Tommy, meanwhile, narrowly avoided a car crash, and the pressure kept mounting. Rebecca played her cards perfectly, threatening lawsuits, exposure, and professional ruin. She reminded everyone that a jury would side with Ariana and highlighted Detective Miller's controversial past. It became clear that Cooper had been targeted because the deceased was a pipeline supplier. Eventually, the authorities backed off, and Cooper was released. In Fort Worth, Nate met with Cammy, who offered him Tommy's old job. But Nate resigned instead, revealing that Monty had always intended to sell M-Tex. He walked away, leaving Cammy isolated. Tommy's meeting with Chevron was equally disappointing. Bob Knowles refused to touch Cooper's fields due to legal risks, offering Tommy a VP position instead, which he turned down. Stability alone wasn't enough anymore. Tommy returned to Galino, forming a new company to honor the original deal tied to Cooper's land while keeping M-Tex out. Galino agreed, writing an $18 million check. The new company was called CTT Oil Exploration and Cattle, standing for Cooper, Tommy, and Thomas. Galino warned that failure would have consequences. In the final moments, Tommy gathered the team. Cooper became president, Tommy was senior VP, TL oversaw drilling, Nate managed finances, Rebecca served as COO and chief counsel, Ariana as office manager, and the crew received profit shares. For the first time, this team felt truly free. Billy Bob Thornton summed it up perfectly in a recent interview. "The end is the beginning of the season. Tommy's not the kind of guy who ever trusts happiness, but just for this one moment, he lets himself be happy. But it's a weary happiness. And that weary happiness might just set the tone for Season 3. Galino remains a looming threat, The offshore rig with Newsom is unresolved, Cammy's gamble may pay off, and Tommy's decision to start over could be his boldest, or most dangerous, move yet. Thankfully, Landman has officially been renewed for Season 3 as of December 2025. While no release date is confirmed, late 2026 seems likely. Until then, stay tuned for weekly updates, discussions, and deep dives on all things Landman. The Landman. Season 3 trailer just dropped, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Whatever piece Tommy thought he earned at the end of Season 2 is already cracking. It looks bigger, darker, and way more dangerous than anything we've seen before. And that weary happiness we talked about? Yeah, it doesn't stand a chance. Season 3 opens with a very different energy, and you can feel it in every frame. Tommy is no longer working for someone else. He finally has his own company, his own people, his own rules. On paper, this is exactly what he wanted. No more building someone else's empire, no more bowing to Cammy. No more pretending stability is enough. But the trailer makes one thing painfully clear. Ownership doesn't mean freedom. It just means the stakes are higher, and now every bad decision lands directly on his shoulders. We see Tommy standing in empty fields, staring at drilling rigs that aren't even running yet, and you can tell he already knows he made a deal that can't be undone. Galino is still there, still smiling that quiet, patient smile that says he's already 10 steps ahead. The money he gave Tommy wasn't help. It was leverage. And the way the trailer cuts between Galino and Tommy tells you this partnership isn't going to end clean. It never does with Galino. Meanwhile, Cooper stepping into the president role feels way heavier than it sounded in that hopeful finale. The trailer keeps circling back to him, and not in a proud success story way, but in a pressure cooker way. People keep reminding him he's not just a kid with good instincts anymore. Every well that fails, every dollar that disappears, every legal problem that comes knocking, it's on him now. And you can feel how badly Tommy wants to protect his son, even though he's the one who pushed him into this world in the first place. There's also this constant sense that the law is still breathing down their necks. The Cooper incident didn't just vanish because the police backed off. The trailer hints at investigations, lawsuits, and quiet threats from people who lost money or influence because of what happened in Season 2. Rebecca is sharper, colder, and more aggressive this time around, like she already knows she's going to be fighting battles on 3 fronts at once. Ariana looks stronger, but also more guarded, like she's trying to hold her life together while standing in the middle of a war she never asked for. Nate feels torn between loyalty and fear, and TL looks like he's seen this kind of spiral before and knows exactly how ugly it can get. And then there's Cammy. The trailer barely shows her, but when it does, it's never random. It's calculated. She didn't lose MTEX quietly, and she definitely didn't forgive Tommy for walking away. Whatever gamble she made in Season 2? The trailer makes it feel like it's finally paying off, and not in a way that's good for him. Add in the unresolved offshore rig with Newsom, whispers of sabotage, and a few moments that straight up feel like foreshadowing something catastrophic. And it becomes obvious that this new beginning is actually the most dangerous chapter of Tommy's life. He finally owns his future, but now he also owns every single consequence. And if Season 2 taught us anything, it's that Landman never lets anyone stay happy for long. The trailer really leans into one uncomfortable truth. Tommy didn't escape the system, he just changed his position inside it. There's this haunting moment where he says something like he finally gets to call the shots, but his face tells a completely different story. He looks more tired than ever, not relieved. And that fits perfectly with everything we know about him. Tommy has never trusted happiness, and now he's standing on top of a company that only exists because of a deal with Galino, the same man who turned his life into a pressure chamber in Season 2. The trailer keeps cutting back to that original handshake, almost like the show is reminding us that this whole future is built on a favor that hasn't been paid back yet. Galino isn't acting like a partner. He's acting like a man who owns a ticking clock. There's a line in the trailer about consequences coming due, and it feels aimed directly at Tommy. Every time Galino shows up, something immediately goes wrong right after. A deal falls apart, a rig shuts down, a lawsuit surfaces. It's subtle, but it's there. and it makes you realize that Galino's influence is already poisoning CTT oil from the inside. Cooper's arc looks even heavier this season. Being named president sounded symbolic at first, like a proud father-son moment. But the trailer turns it into a burden. We see people second-guessing him, whispering behind his back, reminding him of the assault case, reminding him of the man who died, reminding him that one bad decision could bring everything crashing down. There's a moment where he snaps at Tommy, saying he never asked for this life, and it feels like the emotional core of Season 3. Cooper doesn't want to be a king sitting on a fragile throne. He just wanted to help his family, and now he's stuck carrying the weight of an entire company that's already surrounded by enemies. And you can feel how guilty Tommy looks every time Cooper pushes back. He wanted ownership. He wanted control. But what he actually created is a situation where his son is exposed to the same dangers that almost destroyed him. Rebecca, on the other hand, feels like she's stepping into her full villain slayer era. The trailer makes her look ruthless in the best and worst ways. She's threatening people, shutting down negotiations, and making it clear that anyone who messes with CTT is going to regret it. But there's also this underlying fear in her eyes, like she knows the legal walls are closing in. The Cooper case isn't dead, the pipeline supplier angle isn't forgotten, and there's a hint that someone is quietly reopening investigations that were supposed to stay buried. Rebecca isn't just defending a company anymore, she's defending a story. And if the wrong version of that story gets out, it won't matter how innocent Ariana looked or how justified Cooper felt. Public opinion will tear them apart. Then there's Cammy, who barely speaks in the trailer, but somehow dominates it anyway. Every time her name is mentioned, the tone shifts. We see her in boardrooms again. We see her shaking hands with people who look way more dangerous than Monty ever was, and we hear someone say that she learned from her mistakes. That line alone is terrifying. Cammy doesn't strike me as someone who comes back for closure, she comes back to win. The trailer strongly hints that she's working with Newsom, and if that's true, then Tommy's offshore problem just turned into a full-blown war. It feels like she's positioning herself to take everything from him again, only this time, she won't need to fire him. She'll just bury him. And through all of this, that theme of weary happiness keeps haunting the story. The trailer opens with smiles and hopeful music, but by the end, it's all tension, silence, and uneasy stares. It's like the show is telling us up front that the happy ending from Season 2 was just a pause, not a resolution. Tommy finally built something of his own, but the cost of that freedom is about to be paid in blood, money, and broken relationships. And the worst part? You can tell he already knows it. Section 3 of the trailer shifts the focus from quiet tension to full-blown danger, and this is where Landman really starts reminding us what kind of show it is. There's a noticeable change in pace. Things move faster. Deals collapse mid-sentence. Phones keep ringing. People start showing up unannounced. It feels like the world closing in on Tommy from every direction at once. One of the most unsettling parts is how often we see the rigs either malfunctioning or sitting completely idle. That's not just bad luck. That's sabotage, or at least someone applying pressure where it hurts the most. Money. CTT oil hasn't even had time to stabilize, and it's already bleeding cash. There's a moment where Nate says something like, "We can't survive another month like this," and you can tell he's not exaggerating. This company is running on borrowed time, borrowed money, and borrowed trust. The offshore rig with Newsom finally comes back into the picture, and it doesn't look like a business problem anymore. It looks personal. The trailer hints that whatever deal was half-finished in Season 2 is now being used as a weapon. There are quiet threats, meetings in dark rooms, and one chilling line about accidents at sea that lands way too close to home. If Galino represents pressure from the criminal side, Newsom feels like pressure from the corporate monster side. Clean suits, polite smiles, cold decisions. And the worst part is that Tommy can't fight both at the same time. He's stuck in the middle, trying to hold his company together while two giants slowly tear it apart from opposite ends. Ariana's storyline also takes a darker turn. The trailer doesn't exploit her trauma, but it makes it clear that she's still paying the price for what happened. She's being followed, She's being questioned again. And there's this constant feeling that someone is trying to push her into saying something that could destroy Cooper's case. There's a heartbreaking moment where she tells Rebecca she just wants it all to stop, and Rebecca doesn't even have the heart to lie to her anymore. Ariana becoming office manager was supposed to be a fresh start, a way to take back control of her life. Instead, it's pulling her deeper into a mess she never chose, and you can feel how terrified Cooper is of losing her, not to death, but to the weight of everything around them. Tommy, meanwhile, is unraveling in slow motion. He's snapping at TL. He's lying to Nate. He's hiding things from Cooper. And the trailer makes it obvious that he's back in survival mode, making decisions that feel smart in the moment and catastrophic in the long run. There's one scene where he's sitting alone in his truck, gripping the steering wheel, and you can just feel that familiar Landman dread creeping back in. This isn't the man who found peace at the end of Season 2. This is the man who knows he's losing control again. What really sells the suspense is how the trailer keeps cutting between past and future. Old promises, new betrayals, that handshake with Galino, that proud moment when Cooper was named president, and then right back to chaos. It's like the show is quietly screaming, "You thought this was the ending? This was just the setup." And the more you watch, the clearer it becomes that Season 3 isn't about building an empire. It's about surviving one. The trailer leans hard into the emotional fallout, and honestly, this is where it starts to feel truly tragic. The action and danger are still there, but now it's the relationships that look like they're about to collapse. Tommy's world isn't just under attack from outsiders anymore. It's cracking from the inside. There's a painful moment where Cooper tells him that everything they touched turned into a problem, and for the first time, Tommy doesn't have a comeback. He just stands there, quiet, like he finally understands what his choices have cost his son. That father-son bond that felt hopeful at the end of Season 2 now feels strained, fragile, and one argument away from breaking completely. Cooper isn't just scared of losing the company. He's scared of becoming his father, and you can see that fear eating him alive. Nate's loyalty also gets tested in a serious way. The trailer shows him arguing with Rebecca, questioning whether they're doing the right thing anymore. He's the numbers guy. He sees the math. He knows CTT is one disaster away from bankruptcy. There's a scene where he tells Tommy they should cut their losses and walk away while they still can. And that hits hard, because Nate has always been the calm, reasonable one. If even he is talking about quitting, then you know things are bad. Tommy shuts him down, of course. He always does. But this time, it doesn't feel like confidence. It feels like denial. TL, who usually stays in his lane, finally snaps too. The trailer hints at a drilling accident, and while it's not clear what exactly happens, it's clear that someone gets hurt. TL blames Tommy for pushing too hard, for ignoring safety, for chasing money like he's running out of time. And maybe he is. There's this raw line where TL says something like, "You wanted ownership. This is what it looks like." That one line alone feels like the entire theme of the season. Owning everything also means owning every mistake, every injury, every life that gets caught in the fallout. Cammy's return becomes more direct in this part of the trailer. She finally faces Tommy again, and the tension is unreal. There's no yelling, no dramatic outbursts, just quiet, venomous conversation. She tells him he should have taken her offer when he had the chance. She tells him he's not built for this kind of power. And the scariest part is that she might be right. Cammy doesn't look angry anymore. She looks confident, like she's already won and is just waiting for him to realize it. The trailer strongly suggests she's using her influence to squeeze CTT from every legal and financial angle possible. Permits get delayed. Contracts fall through. Investors pull out. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and Tommy can't even prove she's behind it. And then there's Galino again, because of course there is. The trailer places him in the shadows, always nearby when things go wrong. He warns Tommy that he's not living up to their agreement. He hints that patience is running out. And for the first time, his smile disappears. There's a sense that if CTT fails, Galino won't just take his money back.